Heathen Thought of the Day.
Welcome to Thought of the Day, and as you can see, I am Sans, my beautiful, stunning wife. Apparently she's younger than me, but she's over there, hasn't been able to handle a 3-day bender, which consisted of Friday, having a good Friday time, loads of rum, then having a hen do, and then finally on Sunday going to see Smashing Pumpkins. If that wasn't enough, on Monday, Tuesday now, she is woken up with a strained neck. So she is behind the camera, she's over there somewhere, but she's too ill to be in front of it. So here I am, man spreading.
Yeah, and I'm really glad your crotch is not on camera.
Yeah, as you can see by the sunglasses, it is currently 33 degrees here in what is arguably the greatest city in the world, London. And yeah, it's real hot. So, Forza Palermo. My thought of the day is actually this. So, for a lot of the time on this channel, me and Karen, my stunning wife, we both talk about how basically we rinse a lot of horror movies, and it might seem like we actually hate horror, but we don't. I love horror so much that it disturbs me to see it in its current state. Now, Karen made a thought of the day recently saying that every single movie that comes out recently, at least one a year, 2 a year, are hyped up. So I went back in time, had a look, and to be generous, the last time that I found there were 5 horror movies that I enjoyed in a year was 2016. Like I said, I'm being generous. So I thought I'd look through 2017 to 2024, see what we got. I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, and why Heathen is completely different to everything we're getting. So I'll start with 2017. These are the hyped movies, the pushed movies, or the movies that everyone in the horror community will know about. Get Out. Now, for me, barely a horror movie, completely overhyped. It won the script at the Oscars for best script, I think, overall. It's not even in the top 30 horror movies of all time, so how can it win best script? Then we have the It remake. For me, that is a children's movie. It's not a serious adult movie. Nothing about it is better than the original TV movie. Now, I do feel that, Karen, you do quite like the It remake, right?
I like the first one, yeah.
Yeah, we did see it at the cinema, and for a short while I was thinking, oh, this is a half decent scene. But when I got out and when I saw the end of it, not impressed whatsoever. We also had...
because it's about the kiddie part, it kind of fits that it's a bit more of childish vibe.
Well, that's the whole problem. I told you, if they'd gone, if it was meaningful, if it was meant to be that in the first part they made it childish, so at the end when they're beating Pennywise, it all turns into CGI. That's what a child would see. But when it stayed the same for the second part, I was like, no,
that's why I said
this is just trash. It's absolute trash. And nothing about the It remake 1 or 2, part 2, is better than the Tommy Lee Wallace TV version. Also, then we have Jigsaw, so another Saw movie. Forget about that. The Bye Bye Man, which me and Karen were living at my flat at the time, and Karen's sister was feeling lonely, so we invited her around, and it was the first time we'd met to watch a movie. And I said, let's watch The Bye Bye Man. She must have thought straight away that my taste in movies was piss poor, because The Bye Bye Man is absolutely terrible. Then we got the remake of Flatliners, absolutely pathetic. Another Ring movie called Rings with the guy from Big Bang Theory. Also Happy Death Day, abysmal. Alien Covenant. I mean, there hasn't been a decent Alien movie since Resurrection. And we also got then the two that I do quite like in 2017. Cult of Chucky. You can't dislike a Chucky movie. And also Annabelle Creation, which is way better than Annabelle, and way better than Annabelle Come Home, which comes after it. So move on to 2018. The Nun. The Insidious Cinematic Universe. The Nun sucked. Everybody knows it. We also got, Jesus Christ. The Slender Man. Everyone remember The Slender Man? That was hyped up big time. Absolutely terrible. Hereditary. A lot of people seem to really enjoy Hereditary. They say that it's creepy. Mostly what I hear is that it's creepy. For me, it didn't work at all. It was compared to The Exorcist, like a modern The Exorcist. It's not even close to the effect of The Exorcist. Corin, Hereditary.
No.
Yeah, not having it. Also, Saint Agatha, boring. Let's not get into that. The first A Quiet Place. What a crummy movie that is. This is a stellar example of Hollywood horror. Just a CGI antagonist which holds no fear whatsoever because it doesn't look real. It's also written and directed like a guy from The Office. Like, what does he know about horror? Let's face it. The movies I did like in 2018 were Upgrade, which is directed by Lee Wanell, who did Saw, well, wrote Saw, did The Invisible Man. Well, I didn't too much like that, but it's not really a horror movie, but it has a lot of violence in it. So if you haven't seen a movie that you enjoyed in 2018, try Upgrade. The other thing I like, surprisingly enough, is a remake, and it's the Suspiria remake. I thought it was a pretty good movie, 2.5 hours long, doesn't do anything close to the original, but didn't hate it. Now, 2019, Us, not for me. Ma, absolutely not for me. Cruel, Karen, you love animals in the sea, in the lake, in the bayou. What do you think about Cruel?
Well, I do love them, but equally none of them are ever going to be like a great movie. It's just easy.
Apart from Lake Placid, the original and best. We also got It Part 2, terrible movie. Midsummer. Everyone goes wild over Midsummer. All it is a complete rip-off and inferior in every single way to The Wicker Man. And if you want to go to kind of horror scenarios in Sweden, there are way better ones to do than Midsummer. So we also get in the Rob Zombie 3 from Hell, nowhere near as good as House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, so forget about that. Now we get into Ready or Not, the guys that got given Scream 5. I mean, I hated this movie. Corin?
Boring.
Yeah, boring. We also got the Child's Play remake, which had nothing to do with Don Mancini. Unless Don Mancini is in charge of Child's Play, I've got no interest. Saw this movie, it absolutely sucked. So I'm going to have to give, in 2019, the best horror movies that I saw were, for particular reasons, Karin, The Fanatic, starring John Travolta, and I think it's called Curse of the 13th Ghost, Scooby-Doo. That's what I'm giving it to because that was a poor year. 2020, Quiet Place 2. Now, the first one wasn't up to much. Of course, the second one is going to be even worse. We also had a remake or a reimagining movie style of Fantasy Island. I barely remember that. Possessor was also hyped. I wasn't really too enamored with that. And now we talk about the pits, right? The pits of movie making, the pits of horror movie making. The Craft, Legacy, possibly the worst movie on this list. So 2020 was not up to much. Moving on to 2021, a lot of movies this year, all of them pretty appalling, right? We've got Old. Remember Old, Karin? On the Beach, M. Night Shyamalan. Black Phone. Now, I was really looking forward to watching Black Phone. Ethan Hawke, the guy that did Sinister. I couldn't believe how bad it was.
Felt very childish as well.
Yeah, it was childish. The Candyman remake. How woeful was that? That's not even... I remember in reviews, oh, it's the best Candyman since the original Candyman. No, it's not. It's not better than Candyman 2. It's not better than Candyman 3. It's probably the worst Well, it is the worst Candyman going. We also have, and why is it called this? Spiral from the Book of Saw, starring randomly Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock. Probably worth seeing just to see Samuel L. Jackson screaming in a spider web. Pretty poor.
Was that the one where Jigsaw was nice to the kid?
No, that's coming. That's coming though. We also have Halloween Kills, the sequel to the remake / reboot of Halloween, which is absolutely awful. So forget about that. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. The only good Conjuring movies are the first two. After that, not worth mentioning. We also had, well, we have Malignant, so that is James Wan gone.
Stop kicking the microphone.
That is James. Even though I didn't love Malignant, what I was happy about is that a director just got to cut loose and do whatever he wants to do, and we need way more of that. Whereas Malignant, my two favourite movies of 2021 were Exorcism of God, a lesser known movie, not a perfect movie, had really nice ideas, really great cinematography, couldn't pull everything off. And also, randomly, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm not a fan of really any of the Resident Evil movies, but the first one is good to put me to sleep in that kind of way, the Paul Anderson movie. All of the sequels after that, directly after that, were pretty abysmal. So yeah, Welcome to Raccoon City, a bad year 2021. Now moving to 2022, we got X and we got Pearl, both by Ty West. Now before X came out and blew up, and Pearl also blew up, I'd watch every single Ty West movie before he became better known, and I've not been a fan of any of his films. So when I read the write-up to X, I was like, a bunch of people go to make a porn movie, and along the way they get picked off by a psycho killer. You know, in essence, that should be a pretty fun, entertaining movie. I was completely let down, and I should have known by everything that I'd seen previously by Ty West that it was going to be no good. We also had Pearl. I didn't even bother watching Pearl because I couldn't stand X. And then, I mean, Lord forgive me how anyone could enjoy the 2022 movie Skinamarink. Karin?
I have no comment.
Yeah, better not say anything. We also had Smile, terrible movie. Barbarian, everyone is psyching up by Barbarian. I don't know if I'm missing something, but this is not a good horror movie. Talk to Me, not a good horror movie. Megan, not a good horror movie. Terrifier 2. Now, I enjoyed Terrifier, the original, as being an old school homage to slashers, and it had one particularly great kill scene. By the time I got to number 2, I was so looking forward to it and to hear about the lore of Art the Clown, but instead we got no storyline, just 2.5 hours of kill, and that's fine. You know, I don't mind watching some good practical effects, but there is no storytelling here whatsoever. Nothing is compelling in the movie apart from the character Art the Clown that they have created. After this, we also had, dear Lord, Scream 5. You know, I read how this was the best Scream since the first one. No, it's not better than number 2. It's not better than number 3. It's not better than number 4. I didn't even bother watching number 6. And Scream, as you can probably tell, behind you here, behind me, shall I say, Scream is one of my all-time favourite horror series. But for me, it's a trilogy. It ends at Scream 3. Scream 4 is okay, but it's not a patch on the original 3. And Scream 5 is just an absolute embarrassment. It's deplorable, and it probably has the worst scene in a movie, in a horror movie that I've ever seen in my entire life. We also had to carry on the terrible year that was 2022, the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're not, you know, it's worse than Scream 5. You can't really do worse than this movie unless you're directing Prey, the Disney version of a Predator movie. Now, anyone that thinks Prey is a good Predator movie, I won't even listen to them. There's no point in me wasting my time listening to your opinion because you don't know anything. We also then have the sequel to the reboot of Halloween, Halloween Ends. The less said about that, the better. So I've got to say my favourite movie of 2022, not that he was anywhere near his best, but it's David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future, and I haven't yet seen The Menu, which could be half decent. So moving on to 2023, Exorcist Believer, from the same director who gave us the previous 3 Halloween movies, Halloween Reboot, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. Thank God it ends, but then they give him an Exorcist movie. Like I said, I haven't seen it. I don't need to see it. I know it's going to be absolutely appalling. We also have The Pope's Exorcist, starring Russell Crowe as an Italian exorcist. Now, this might be one of my favourite movies
On a Vespa.
of 2023 because of just simply the sight. Yes, starring Russell Crowe as a far too big priest riding a far too small Vespa. That alone is worth the admission fee. We also have Insidious Red Door. There have been no good Insidious movies, or at least half decent ones, since number 3. Only really Insidious 1, Insidious 2 are any good. 3 is okay. After that, completely forget it. We also got them Scream 6, based in New York. I didn't bother seeing that because Scream 5 is so abysmal, and they're the same directors as Ready or Not. These are pussy directors. We also have, Karen already mentioned it, Saw 10, the one where Jigsaw decides to adopt a kid and inherit him loads and loads of money. So we've come really full circle.
Hilarious.
In that one. Boogeyman, another one was hyped up. Crap. 2 movies I haven't seen, which, Lord forgive me, I still have an interest in. I hope they're good. Late Night with the Devil and Evil Dead Rise. I do fear that Evil Dead Rise will be full of CGI. Finally, we move on to 2024. I'm not going to go into this year. So 2024, we had majorly hyped up Longlegs. Boo! Nosferatu. Boo! Nosferatu. There's nothing wrong with the movie, but you've seen it all before, and you've seen it done way better. Just check out Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. Every single facet of that movie is better than Nosferatu. Strangers Chapter 1. There hasn't been a half decent Strangers movie since the first one, and even that was not too much cop. We then have Immaculate, starring Sydney Sweeney. That is probably the best movie I saw in 2024, and if you've seen our channel before, we reviewed that on I Know What You Watched last week, and just gave it pretty much an average mark because it is an average movie. Now I'm so jaded, too long in the tooth, that I'm not going to fall for it anymore. So the movies I haven't seen from 2024 are The Substance, In a Violent Nature, Speak No Evil, Terrifier 3. I have no desire to really watch that after seeing the second one. Smile 2, no chance I'll really watch that. Maxine, I'm not expecting much from Ty West, since I don't appreciate anything he's ever done before. A Quiet Place 3, going back to A Quiet Place 1, one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen. It's a pet peeve when movies like that use the word horror, because it is not a horror movie. We also have Heretic. I'm not sure what that is. Forget about that. The First Omen. That's another thing that I am looking forward to seeing, is The First Omen. I really hope that it hasn't been ruined. Alien Romulus, which I know will be ruined. Oddity, which I'm hoping will be fantastic. And of course, to end it all in 2024, The Exorcism, starring once again Russell Crowe as an exorcist. So how can I not enjoy that? But if you can compare every single movie that I've just mentioned there, compared to Hellraiser, the original, Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, Hell on Earth, Hellraiser 3, and Bloodline, Hellraiser 4, none of those films are better than any of those. And if you want to see a movie more along the lines of that, and the likes of Scream and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Twin Peaks, American Psycho, follow Heathen, because Heathen is one of the only movies that is out of the grasp of people who have absolutely no idea what they are doing. It's time to forget about following accounts that have 100,000 followers, 250,000, whatever, because all these people are going to give you is the popular opinion, so they don't lose any popularity with the studios and so forth, actors, directors. It's time that we all came together and admitted that horror is truly in the fucking pits, right? And it's only a movie like Heathen. Even if you don't enjoy Heathen, there's been so much of an effort made that people going forward will have to make an effort writing horror movies in the future. And that's what we need, because everything right now this day is lazy. So anytime I hear every single, this year now we're currently getting Weapons telling me it's the most crazy, messed up horror movie I would have ever seen in my life, it's gonna be abysmal. Let's just stop paying attention to these people and these movies and get back to real horror. I've just been reminded by Karin, Heretic is the movie starring Hugh Grant. So yeah, I am quite looking forward to seeing that, but against my better judgment, I really just really hope that it's not terrible.
I think Hugh Grant might be good, but I have no hope for the movie itself.
Yeah, same here. I'm quite interested to see Hugh Grant in that kind of role, but I don't have any faith in modern directors. And if I didn't mention him already, by the way, the Wrong Turn remake. Did I mention the Wrong Turn remake during the
No, that's
entirety of
what I
that?
was thinking when you said about
Jesus.
The Craft.
So this again is one of the most embarrassing movies you were ever likely to see. And yeah, it goes with Craft Legacy and Wrong Turn remake are probably joint first for the worst movies that I have seen in the past year to 18 months.
Heathen!
Heathen!